This is going to be lesson 4, updating elements. We're going to go through levels 1 through 9 for code.orgs, creating apps with devices and for the Microbit, but we're not using it for this lesson. So starting off, we are on level 1, predict. We've got our text here, and what they want us to do is we want to read the code and predict what this app will look like when it runs. We expand this down, and we can see that we have 4 options. We have A, B, C, and D. So right now it looks like B already. But when we run the code, when we click on run, then these property blocks will then run. So looking at these just right off the bat, we've got home screen. That's going to be this whole screen right here. The background will be beige. So just from that, we know that the background will be beige, meaning that we can probably disregard that one and this one as well. So we know it's going to be C or D at this point. Okay, let's keep going. The title text will say cat translator. If I move the cursor over here over that title text, I can see that the ID is title. So that it'll change the text to cat translator. Those two are for that. Font size is going to get bigger. Yep. But then the differences between translate my cat and translate here. So these buttons are going to be different, and also the order. Looking at this, I can see that this text, I'm kind of thinking of like the order of these, right? Like here, the order of the button is at the bottom, but also these flip around. So I'm not sure still. Let's keep going, and let's take a look at this button. So the ID of the button is translate ... So it doesn't all fit, but I can see here we have translate button. So the text should be translate, and the font size will be 25, and then it increases the width and the height. So if the text is going to be translate, then this one says translate my cat. This one says translate. So I'm going to guess it's D. Let's find out. We will run it. And cross our fingers. That's just moving around. Okay, translate. Hey, there we go. Nice. We got that. So let's move on to level 2. For this one now, we are going to be changing properties. This is what we have to start off with our app. So we have the set property block can be used to change lots of things about your design elements. We'll practice using set property to update the look of a welcome screen for an app. Note that we've removed design mode tab for now, so we can practice working with set property, but it'll come back later on, right? Because usually you can change things also, the properties in the design tab also. But we're going to practice doing that in the code. So for do this, look at the set property block that is already in the code. This block updates the font used in the title. So we've got set property title, changes the font family, that's how it looks, to this font. So if we run it, we can see it changed the font. I'll reset that. We want to use another set property block to update the background color of the title. So let's try that out. I'm going to click and drag this one out there. We can put it down here or up here. These are comments. These are kind of notes to the humans, and the computer ignores them. So anything with that / is a comment in our code. So it tells the computer to ignore it when it runs the code. It's just for us humans, so we can better understand it. So we want to select the ID of the title. And what are we going to change again? We are changing the background color. So going through here, we got background color. And change the background color. So we can choose whatever we want. I'm going to go with green. And for the third property, type in a color that we'd like to use. Make sure your color is in quotes. So we're going to add in another one, and we're going to again select title. Oh, I understand that now. That's my bad. So we can choose in any color that we want, and what they're saying is we can type it in there. So we can type it in or select it from the drop down. So green. You know what? Let's change. I'm changing it to blue. And now if we run, we can now see that it's blue. And there we go. We've done what we needed to for this one. We'll move on to level 3. This one now, level 3, is changing text. So you can also change the text of the elements on the screen using the set text block. Let's update the app so that it uses your name in the app. We've removed the design mode tab for now. Yep, okay. And they're going to bring it back later on. So what we want to do is the set text. So use the set text block to update the app to display your name. So we're going to drag this one out here. And the first parameter, select name label. So we want to select, this is the first parameter. It's got two parameters, and we're going to select name label. That's this one here. And for the second parameter, that's this one. We're then going to put in our name, grommet, and run it. There we go. And optional, we can also change the greeting if we want to. So if we wanted to, we could also change the greeting. I'm going to reset that. And so I can select here of the greeting label. And we'll try that of the howdy. And now it changed that greeting label, changed the text to howdy and our name to grommet. All right, we're done with level 3. Whoa, level 4. This looks wild. Changing position. Every design element except for the screen has an X and a Y property that controls its position. We can use these properties to reposition elements on the screen. The App Lab screen is 320 pixels wide and 450 pixels tall. So it's 320 wide. This is the X coordinate going this way, and so we can see this dot has a coordinate of 320, 0, because the Y coordinate is 0 at the top. And then the Y coordinate goes down. In math, we're used to of like if we're moving below the 0 line, then it's negative. For the app, the top left is 0, 0, and things move. The Y coordinate gets positive as it goes down. So we can see that's 450 pixels tall because it's 0, 450 for that point there. All right, so what should we do? Do this. Look at the image to the right. Click to see the full-size image, okay? We want our app to match this picture. Kind of looks like a Simon Says thing here with the 4 different colors, okay? So we need to move our blocks around. Look at the example code that moves the green button to the upper right corner. So they've already set this up. If we click on Run, we can see that the green block moves to the upper right. And so what they've done is they did the X coordinate, so the property of the green button element, and the X coordinate is changed to 160, and the Y coordinate is changed to 0. Everything kind of works by the upper left corner. So what they're talking about is these coordinates are not for the center, they are for the top left corner of that block, which is 160 for the X coordinate, 160 over, and 0 for the Y coordinate because it's at the top. So we need to move the red button next to the upper left corner. So for that one, we can see we want the top left corner of the red square rectangle to be at the top left corner of the whole screen, and those coordinates are 0, 0. So we're going to change the red one. So we first choose the element, red button. We want to change the X coordinate, and for this it's going to be 0. So I can type in 0. All right, so we've got that. If we run it, we can see, yep, it moves over, and now we need to move it up. So we'll put in another property. Same thing, red button. Now we're going to choose the Y coordinate, and the coordinate is going to be 0 for the Y also because it's going to be up at the top. Reset and run it. Okay, we got that. Now I think we want to, oh, no, it is. We got it. Now we've got all of our squares in exactly the right spots. Okay, that worked out. We're done with that one. Nice work. Okay, level 5, changing with a click. And just a little note, this means that as we continue moving on to the next levels, your work here will automatically move into those. So it's It's not really useful to only set a property when your program is first run. After all, you could just do all that in the design mode. When you see an on-event block with a set property, you're able to do things that you couldn't do in design mode alone. In this example, let's move the smiley icon to the center of the screen when it's clicked. And so what they mean by that is that in design mode, any changes that you make will just stay that way on the screen. So they won't be interactive. So whatever the user does, that anything that you change in the design mode, that won't react to what the user is doing. And so we want to have it so that the screen elements are going to be interactive and can respond to what the user is doing. And that we need to do in the code. So for do this, when you click the smiley, move it to the center of the screen. So we have this event already on there that they created for us. So on the event that the smiley element, that's that one right there, the ID is smiley, is clicked, then any code within here will then happen. So within the on event, we want to use the set property block to move the smiley to the center of the screen. You'll need to update the X and the Y properties of the icon. So we're going to put in a set property. We'll do it for the X value first. So we're going to select smiley for the element. And the property we want to change is the X coordinate. And kind of thinking of it here, this is kind of the middle of the screen. So I'm thinking of the upper left corner is going to be for the smiley. So this is kind of like the upper left corner of that. So I'm thinking maybe it'd be here, so that's 120 and 178. So for the X value, I'm going to put in 120. And we'll put in another set property now, and we'll select smiley. We're going to choose the Y property, and this we're going to change to 178. And now we'll run it. So nothing has changed yet, but now when we click on the smiley, it should move. And there we go. All right, that worked out pretty good. Let's move on to the next level. So level 6, randomization. Moving on the first click is fine, but this smiley would be even cooler if it moved somewhere new every time we clicked. Fortunately, we can use the random number block to do just that. And we can see here that they have kind of an example where as the user clicks on the smiley face, each time it will move around the screen. So to do this, we're going to edit the code so that it uses random number block inside of set property. So you can see it carried over our code from the last level. So we have already our properties for changing the X and the Y coordinates. And now we're going to drag in the random number one. So I'm going to click on that. And it's a little bit tricky to see, but that yellow, that box kind of highlights yellow. And kind of having so that then our cursor is near that 120. I'm going to let go, and now we have the random one. So with random, it uses two values that we need to enter in there. And it's the lowest and the highest possible number. So kind of thinking about this, we have the lowest would be 0, and then the highest number that the X value would be. The screen is 120 pixels wide, but that means that the smiley face would actually be off the screen if the X value was 320. So we want to kind of reduce that, and let's maybe do like 230 instead. So we're going to have the values be 0, and I'm going to press tab so it jumps over to the next value area, and I forget what that was. Was that 230? Let's type in 230. And so now if we run it, the X value will change each time, and you notice the Y is not changing because we haven't changed that yet, but that is working good. So let's do the same thing now for the Y coordinate. And we're going to drag over random number, and we're going to have it start at 0, and then we want to go all the way down. So it is 450 all the way at the bottom, but again, then we wouldn't see the smiley face. So maybe about there, 380, 380, and now when we run it, now the smiley face will jump any place on the screen, and it should not go off the screen because we made sure that the values are less than that, because it's again going from the upper left corner. Nice work. Move on to level 6 or level 7 now. Okay, practice levels. We're going to go through one of these practice levels, but I encourage you to try out the other ones. For this one, I will start off with practice level A, change the background. Changing the background. Our goal for this is to create an app that changes the background color according to the button that is clicked. So we've got red, green, blue, and white. So they've already added the buttons for you. And they've also added in on-event buttons for each of on-event code blocks for each of these different buttons. So what we should do for this one is we want to add a property block to each on-event that changes the background color of the screen 1 to the color of the button. So looking at these different options, it would be the set property that we want to drag in. We'll do the red button first. And so for this, we want to set the property of the screen because we want to change the background color of the screen. So we select that element of screen 1. The property is going to be the background color. And then here we can then choose from the drop down which color we want. And we'll leave it on red. And let's test it out. So green still doesn't because we didn't do that one yet, but red works. All right, that's good. And then we'll do the same thing for each of these other properties. And so we'll do screen 1 because that's what you want to change the background color of. And then change the background, select the background color. And because this is the green button, we want to change it to green. We'll run it now. So red and then green. Those work. Okay, I'm going to let you work on those other two. And you know what? We will actually go back and let's check out the other ones as well. All right, so changing icons. I'll introduce this one. So for changing icons, we want to create an app that changes the direction of the arrow in the center of the screen depending on the button the user presses. Okay, so we've got our icon right there, and we want it to either be up, down, left, or right. So to do this, we are going to add in a set property block for the on event, and we're going to be with the ID of arrow image. We're going to update the image property based on the direction the arrow is facing. And so they kind of give us already of what the different values are for those. So it's set property and dragging that over. So we've got the up button. And so we want to select the element of arrow image. And it's going to be the image property that you're changing. And for up, it is going to be this. And what we can do is we can just copy that. Well, actually, they have the different icons. So we could then kind of choose the different icons on here. I'll do that for this one. So arrow, arrow up. And we can see that we've got that one. FA stands for Font Awesome, which is a library of free icons. So we've got the up arrow. When we run it, that won't really change. But let's go ahead and change now for the down arrow. So we're going to bring in the set property block again. Arrow image. We're going to select that we're changing the image. And for that one, I'm going to copy and paste it. So copy. And here, I'm going to paste that in. Can I paste it? Yes. So I did Control V on the keyboard to paste it in. And we can see that it's kind of set up very similar way, so it should work. Let's test it out. Reset and then run. So up, down. Okay, those two are working. So continue through and make those other changes for the left and the right arrows. Debugging. Erica wanted to practice using text mode to create an app that looks like the image on the right. So looking at this, it says app is running with yellow text or with the yellow background on the text. When she's finished, she tried running the app, but she got a lot of errors. Can you fix all the errors in the code so that her app looks like the example on the right? If we run it right now, yep, we get errors, and we can see that they are highlighted. We got this little red error message right there. You'll notice that this is in the text view instead of the blocks, but we will figure this one out. Note that this level starts in the text mode because some of the bugs are typos with the blocks themselves. As you fix the bugs, one way to check your work is by trying to convert the level back to block mode. And so we can try that actually if we click on Show Blocks. It says that you need to correct an error in your program before it can be shown as blocks. All right, so let's take this one at a time. If you move the mouse over that red error, it can give you some information, and it also looks like it highlighted something here. It highlighted the S. So let's read what the error says. It says that it expected a open parenthesis and instead saw app. It's missing a semicolon. Expected an operator. So we've got a whole lot of different errors on here. So we've got set. So looking at this, we have set text. So they used that block. Looking at how it's typed out, it looks like set text is correct. It's a lowercase s and a capital T. And then we have title label. And so we have the ID and then the value there. So title label, if I reset it, yep, that's title label. And then here, what I'm guessing is that we want to have some parentheses around this. Because whenever we have like a string of text, like the app is running, if it has quotes around it, then the code or the computer knows that that's something that we want to display, like that string of text. It's not instructions. When it doesn't have quotes around it, then the computer is expecting that it is instructions for it. And this right here is not instructions, it's the text that we want to show up. So it's missing the quotes around that. And to put those quotes, you'll notice that the text color itself changed when I put that first quote on there. If I delete it again, you'll see that then it turned to black, meaning that the computer probably thinks that that's like instructions that the code that the computer should run, but it's not. And our little red block went away. All right. So we still got lots of errors though. So looking through here again, we can see now with that also that kind of like what we learned of where the color changed. Looking at this one, it's set property, capitalization looks correct. This one's got got quotes, but then here we can see that there is a closing quote, but there's not a beginning one. So let's put it in the beginning one. And now our error message went away. So let's try running this again. And okay, we're getting there. So now we don't have, so we fixed the errors there, but we've got some new errors, and also we can see that this is not looking like that yet. So we're going to continue working through and making changes as you need to as we go along. I'm going to let you figure out those other bugs on that one. Nice work. All right, now we'll look at the last practice level of create a rainbow. Okay, so we want to create this rainbow, and it looks like we are starting off with, they've already added in the blocks, but we need to probably change the colors. So this app has 7 labels on the screen. Change the background color of each label to be the colors of the rainbow. So they've got the Roy G. Biv in the correct order, Roy G. Biv. So do this. We want to add a set property block for each label that changes the background color to one of the colors of the rainbow. Run your code. When you do a rainbow, a rainbow should appear like the image on the right. Okay, I feel like you guys got this one already, but I'm going to help you get started. We are going to just be doing the set property blocks. Now we can do this in code, or we could do the in text, or we could do the blocks. I'm going to change it to blocks. And let's see, we want to know which one though. So looking at this, oh, they already labeled them. So the ID of that one is red button. So I select red button, and we want to change the background color to red. All right, we got red. Okay. The next one is orange button. So we'll put in another set property. We select orange button and background color to orange. Now, orange does not show up, so what you can try doing is just typing it in, orange, and run. There we go. We got those two now, and I'll do one more with you before I leave that for you. Figure out the rest, and this one will be the yellow button. So we're going to select yellow button, and background color should be yellow. But now, there we go, we got yellow. If you want to get really fancy with this and you want to try changing some of the things on your own, you can also do the RGB values. And what this does is there's 256 values for each color, and it's red, green, blue. So you can then kind of set it of like the red value, the green, and the blue. So let's say if we want to make this blue instead, we'd have 0 for red, 0 for green, and 255 for blue, meaning it's all blue. So if I ran it, but right, we want this one to be yellow. So what we would do is, what is a RGB value for yellow? You know what? Let's Google this. RGB value for red, or no, yellow. I'm not sure what that'd be. Oh, okay. So it would be 255, 255, and then 0. And there's a whole variety of other resources out there where you can actually then get color wheels and figure out the values for those. So let's try that out for this one. So the value for red is 255. I'm just going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard to kind of navigate this instead of clicking. 255 for the green and 0 for blue. And this should then make it yellow. There we go. All right, so you'll continue on with the other colors. You got this. All right, we are done with the practice levels. Let's move on to level 8. Emotion Machine. Create an app that lets you select different emotions to display on the screen using the emoji icons. And they've got an example over here. So we can see what this looks like of when you click on the different emotions, it will change the image, and it's changing the text on the bottom as well. Okay, so recapping, what they said in a previous one, this was set up in design mode, but then to make the elements on the screen change based on what the user is doing, then we need to use our code. Because if we run it right now, nothing changes, and that's what we're going to change here. So for the do this, we want to add an event for when the user clicks the happy button. The happy emoji should appear, and they give us the code for that, for the smiley face. The icon color changes to yellow, and the text changes to happy. So we've got a variety of things that we're going to be changing. To start, we put in the on event block. And they've added in some comments here to help us organize it. So for number 1, add an event for when the user clicks the happy button. And then we'll have another one down here for our sad button, and then another on event for the meh button. So we'll walk you through for the happy button. So on the event that the happy button is clicked, and we can see that when we move the cursor over that, we can see that the ID is happy button. We want to change 3 of the properties. So we want to change the happy emoji. We want to have it so that the happy emoji appears. So let's see here. So the ID of this is the face image. So we're going to drag in a set property. We're going to select face image, and we're going to select image. And then here you can either copy this. I'm going to highlight it and Control C to copy, and then paste it. You can also select the drop down and then choose, and we would then select the icons here, and we can search for happy. There we go. Select that. All right, we can test it out. Happy. There you go. It changes it. Now, a couple of other things we need to change. We need to change the icon color to yellow. So that's going to be another set property. So that will again still be the face image. So we select face image, and we want the icon color to be yellow. And last, we want to change the text so that it says happy. And I'm going to reset it here so we can see the ID. The ID for this, where this question mark is feeling label. So that's the one that we want to change. Now instead of property, we can do the set text block. And again, we want to select the ID of feeling label. And the text is going to be happy. So let's try this out. We'll run it and click on happy. It changes it to yellow. We get the smiley face and the text changed to happy. Nice. So you're going to do the same thing now with different values for these. To get started, you'll drag in another on event. This will then be for the sad button. So you would select sad button, and when it's clicked, and then you're going to be dragging in more of the set properties and the set text values, similar to how we did that. Okay, I'm going to let you figure out those last ones on your own. They give you more instructions here of what value to have for the sad emoji and for the meh emoji, as well as what colors and what text to have. So finish those and then click on finish. All right, we are on the challenge levels now. So you're going to be choosing one of these and completing that. I see down here they've got the circuit playgrounds. You're using the Microbits, and I think the Microbit probably worked with this one as well. Let's look at these. So challenge A is hidden property. Learn to use the hidden property to show and hide design elements. Challenge B is recreate an app. Without using design mode, recreate the design of an app using set property and set text blocks. So it'll look similar to this. Challenge C is theme designer. Create a custom app lab theme for label and button elements on the screen. Challenge D is play speech. Learn to use the play speech block by creating an About Me app. Challenge E is a marketing app. Create an app prototype that could be used in a social media marketing campaign. And challenge F is local business app. Create an app prototype that could be used to promote a local business. Typically, they get more difficult as they go along. There's more of a challenge to them. So like if we looked at this last one here, and we open this up, they give you full instructions on what to have. Well, they kind of get you started, but there's nothing in there. And we can switch into design mode as well as the code mode. I'm going to go back to all of them. And looking at A, you can see that they give you some code, and then they also show you how it should look on there. So it's kind of up to you of how much of a challenge are you ready for. And you can always certainly do more of the challenges as you're going along. I'm going to demonstrate, maybe I'll get you started on the theme designer. So let's look at this one here. So with the theme designer, they've gotten you started a little bit on this. And they've got some of the text. So reading through this, some app editors let you add themes to a design, which updates all of the labels and the buttons on the screen. In this app, we're creating our own theme designer that we can use to test out different themes. An example theme has already been coded, which updates the properties of label and button on the screen. Your task is to design your own theme that updates the look of the app. So we can see this they've got the example theme and my theme where you will be creating your own. And we can kind of see where they have these different property ones. So let's try this out. So these ones don't do anything, but if we click on example theme, then we can see it changed the theme. So it changed the colors, it changed the font, the different styles, the buttons, and things like that. So it kind of changed the elements on the screen. So you would want to do something similar here for this one. And I'll get you started and then let you finish it up. And I encourage you to try out the other challenges on there as well. So we want to start off with an on event, right? Because we want it up on the event that someone clicks on my theme, then it'll change the style of the different elements. So we're going to select the element of my theme for the ID, and on the event that it is clicked. All right, so let's change the background color of this. I want something that's really bold. I'm going to go with like a yellow and black bee rebel kind of style for this. So I'm going to choose set property, and I'm going to change the background color of the screen first. So I've got screen 1. That's that one. Okay, and I want to choose background color, and I'm going to change that to yellow. If I run it now, there we go. It's yellow, but I want these things to be like very black and white, like bold colors on this one. So I'm going to first start off with example label. I'm going to edit that one. So we see that they did kind of like set property for all of these. We're not going to be changing the text. We're just changing kind of the theme of it. So I'm going to put another set property. I want to change this text. Actually, no, you know what? Let's do the button, and then I'll let you kind of modify those other things. So that one, the ID is button. And I'm going to change the background color to white. And I want to make the borders on the button black and really bold. So button, and let's see, border color should be black. And another one for the button. And border width, I want to be 10. Let's try that out. Okay, I like that. I can't see the text, so definitely need to change the property of the text there. So button, I'm going to select the color, text color, and that I'm going to change to black. So I'm just going to type in black. All right, let's see here, run my theme. That's okay. I want to round the edges of this thing too. I want to have rounded borders on the button. So I'm going to select button, and rounding the borders of it is down here with the other border items. So border width, border color, border radius. And the radius is kind of like the radius of the curve of the corners on there. I did 10 pixels wide for the width. So let's see what 10 looks like for the radius of this. Too much. I want to do a little bit less. I'm going to change it to 5. That's a little bit better. Okay, I like that. So now keep going with this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change one more as we're going along, and I'm going to change the font. I want to have the font of it be much bolder, just something a little bit more interesting for that. So again, it's the button, and I want to choose the font family, and here then we can choose from the drop down impact. And yep, that's better. And then I also want the text to be larger. So button, and I'm changing the text, but I want to change the font size. Some of the colors, it can be kind of strange of where it's like, right, like font family, font size, but then other things like text color. So it's not font color, it's the text color. So you just have to remember that sometimes they start with text, sometimes they start with font. So the font size is, let's try 25. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, okay, all right, I like that. I like that's very bold. So I need my button to be taller. So then I'm going to change another set property, and it's going to be button, and height now should be, let's see here, just kind of thinking about this. So it starts there at 153, and I want it to go down to here, or no, the Y value I want to look at. So Y value is 100. So I'm going to make it 100 tall for the height. Okay, so it's already that. Run it. There we go. I like that. I like that. I like that style. Okay, so then what you want to do is change then of like the label text as well. Change the font around, kind of change that for your whole theme. And then you can kind of switch between these different themes so you can get a sense of like how that works. You'll notice that here, right, like because the property of the label was changed, but in my theme I haven't changed the properties of that text label. That's why it's not gonna. That's why it's staying that way. So as you change the properties for the label within your theme, then that will also switch as you're going between the two different themes. Okay, when you are done with that, you will then need to share this out because you are all done with it. So before you click on finish, what you want to then do is share your finished design or your challenge. So whichever challenge you selected, you're then going to click on share and copy link to project. One of the things I really like is that you can also text this to your phone or to your friends, your parents' phones. You can just put the phone number in and then send it. But for turning this in for your assignment, you're going to click on this button, copy link to your project. And what that looks like is this. And so you can test it out. And what's different about this is here, if we look at the URL up at the top, notice that this is very generic. This is kind of just saying that we're on code.org and what lesson and what level you're on. So the problem is if you just simply turned in this link or sent this link to somebody, they would see whatever their assignment is. They wouldn't be able to see yours because there's nothing unique in this URL. When you copied that link, what happened is that this is actually the unique URL of your app that you created. So it's code.org/projects/applab because it's an app lab project. And then this long string of text is the unique ID of your specific app. So you can share that with other people and they can then try that out and see how your app works. They can also view the code and see how it is that you set that all up. So this is, so again, what you want to turn in for your app is click on that button to copy a link to your project, and you'll turn that in. Nice work. That is the end of lesson 4.